This is for all military and law enforcement and anybody who believes in our country. Our country was originally called United States. That is it. This bill is clear evidence of it. Abraham Lincoln bankrupted the company called United States in the Civil War, and a new lookalike company called the United States of America, which is not the Republic, but is a democracy, came into being. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, not United States, but the United States of America, and to the Republic for which this flag stands. This flag stands for this flag. This one is currently upside down. I had it on a flag pole at the No Kings Parade. I don't believe in the No Kings because I believe in the Republic, but I'm still trying to educate people. I was also a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne. So with that being said, we go to this book. You know if something is wrong when this is a very good educational book on how you have been enslaved and deceived. With that being said, we're going to go over here. Great pictures. Anyway, flip to what you got to get to. I'm on focus. All right. So, when we were at war in the Revolutionary War with Great Britain, they were beating our ass. However, the 13 colonies no longer were producing money. They weren't making money for Great Britain. So they needed to expand. But Spain and France owned the other half of the country. So they also had a treaty with the Native Americans saying that we would not go past the original 13 colonies. What they did was, in the American Revolutionary War, is they split the jurisdictions. So they split it. Law, land, air, water. Those are the 3 planes of existence you can control in this reality. So the Pope owns the air. We'll talk about that later. But England kept control of the sea, but gave us control of the land. So they split the jurisdictions. There's 2 trusts, there's 2 flags. A house divided cannot stand. With that being said, you can be one of 3 types of citizenship. You can be an American state citizens. This is all living people. You have inalienable rights. You are owed a republic-style government. You have more authority because you are living, and the United States government or the United States or United States are fictions or ideas. And a law of nature is that the created cannot have control over the creator. That's a fact. So if you're a living human being, you have more authority than the United States of America or United States. And when you are on land, when we've been at peace, you live in Ohio State. I live in New Mexico, so I live in New Mexico State. On sea, United States citizens, under British, you can be living or a corporation. In the sea jurisdiction, you only have civil rights, and worse yet, you are under a democracy, oligarchy, or totalitarian, which is why we have been enslaved. I'll get into that more later. And they have been at war constantly. This is the war flag. This is the peace flag, but you've never seen the peace flag. You've only seen the war flag. They only talked about the flag of the Republic and the Pledge of Allegiance, but you never asked. A 3rd type of citizen called United States citizen. This is called a debt slave or Negro citizenship. I'm not making this up. This is how it was. So when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, per se, he didn't quite free the slaves. They just redefined slavery. And they made something called Negro citizenship, where you have to pay taxes. You have to pay to live. So before you were a slave and they beat the shit out of you, or I won't say they beat the shit out of you, but they used you for free, and then they gave you just enough to survive. Now they pay you money, but they only pay you just enough to survive. Yeah, and you have to give them taxes. So now that you know that there is 2 different companies, there's more than that. There is United States Commercial Company, does not equal the United States Incorporated, does not equal the United States lowercase, does not equal United States all uppercase, does not equal. These are all different companies that pretend to be our government. Then they made you say the Pledge of Allegiance to this. So you didn't have to say a Pledge of Allegiance to the Republic, you pledge allegiance to this flag. I, securing individual consent, pledge an ancient feudal act of admitting servitude to a king, my allegiance, giving fealty to a king of the United States of America Incorporated, and to the Republic, which is us, for which it stands. Oh man, let's get into it. Money. All money in the beginning was gold or silver certificates. I have some silver certificates. It says right here, or they were United States notes. United States notes were worth a Spanish dollar. A Spanish dollar is a piece of 8, which is a piece of silver. Dollars are not American. They are Spanish. Here is a dollar from Trinidad and Tobago, and here is a dollar from Argentina, Australia. Oh, there you go. A dollar from Australia. In the beginning, when the Ashkenazi Jews bought the Federal Reserve, they made a new type of money called the Federal Reserve note. Now, federal is neither federal nor reserve because they don't have any money. And federal means a business between two or more states, but they were not a company between two or more states. And in the beginning, this is what it said. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in a lawful money at any the United States Treasury or any Federal Reserve Bank. So in the beginning, when they brought out the Federal Reserve note, you could trade it for a silver certificate, a gold certificate, or a Federal Reserve note. You could trade their money. Then, after World War II, they got rid of half of that paragraph, and now it's only legal and tender for all debts, public and private. This is a debt certificate. Let me explain debt certificates. Come on, computer. Anytime. When you were born, you signed something called a birth certificate. A birth certificate is different from a certificate of birth. When you are on land, you get a certificate of birth. When you are on sea, you get a birth certificate. A birth certificate, because it's British, invokes something called the Cesta QV Act of 1666, which pronounces you dead or lost in sea and gives all of your estate or your belongings, everything that is not your living human being that you have on this planet is your estate. It gives it over to the corporation or the company or the government, is what they say. When they did this, two things happened. One, they pronounced you dead, so you're no longer a living human being under that flag. You became a corporate fiction. And they took out $10 million worth of credit on your labor, or 10 million Federal Reserve notes. They did that. So every one of you has a QSIP number, which is what your birth certificate and your Social Security is. You combine them together, you go online, and you could look it up, and you have $10 million of credit lying out there, which you can claim and you can use. Now, so where was that? Okay, yeah, they enslaved you. They did that. When you go to a bank, the bank does not loan you money. What they do is they purchase a security off your birth certificate bond for whatever the money is. Then they convert this credit into Federal Reserve notes, and they put it in their bank for you to use with other people. Then you pay them back extra money. So they gave you your own money. That's what they did. They gave you your own money off your birth certificate bond. Then you pay them back the entire amount of money with interest. This is called debt slavery. Now, I said before, all money was a silver certificate. We're not the only one with the dollar. But on the back of original money, if you notice, it never said "In God We Trust." Then the Ashkenazi Jews got in control and they put that on the back. But what God do we trust? Have you ever seen Bohemian Grove? Do you remember that owl? They do human sacrifices here, by the way. They throw babies into the fire. It's pretty fucked up. But that owl right there is right there. That owl is the God in which they trust. That is it. This is debt certificate. This is slavery. This is not our country. This is what the original dollar bill looked like. See the difference? You see the God in which they trust? Final thing. The gold fringe around the flag does mean martial law. But because this isn't our flag, this is British flag, it means military occupation. And they are tricking all of you with slave notes to enforce their ideas on our people. Please screenshot and pause this. But here are all of the official USC military and you got trust treaties, everything that you need to know about the martial law flag. But yes, once again, because it's not our flag, we're not under martial law, we are under military occupation. John Vaughn here. Become the greatest version of yourself. I hope I explained a lot.